So moving on, we have a new session that is titled Ransomware, the new poker games bluff, proof of data. Bentsi Benatar from Sepio Systems is going to be presenting this session. Bentsi, welcome.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you for joining. This data security and privacy event. For presenting this interesting session. This title say ransomware, the new poker games bluff, proof of data. I'm very excited about this session. So I'm right now handing over the floor to you. Okay.
Great. Thank you very much. And thank you for all of you that have joined in. My name is Bentsi. I'm one of the co-founders for Sepio Systems. I've been in the security industry for almost 30 years now. And I'll be presenting a topic that I find is specifically interesting, and that's the recent shift that we are seeing in various ransomware campaigns. And I will argue that some of these campaigns are easily achieved and carried out by using hardware-based attack tools. And if time permits, I'll do a couple of some nice demos so you could actually see what I'm talking about. And let's start. So I'll put up kind of a nice slide for you guys and ladies. Okay. So we're talking about hardware-based campaign and their specific implementation in what I call the data leakage bluff, and shortly we'll see what I mean by the bluff. It doesn't necessarily mean that all ransomware attacks that are based on data leakage are a bluff, but I will show that even for the non-professional amateur hacker, running a kind of a data leakage bluff attack is something that is easily achievable, and it's a real struggle in order to identify if this is a real bluff, like in a real poker game, if it's a real bluff or not. Fact number one is that attackers are adapting quickly. If my long career has taught me one thing, is the fact that you should never disrespect the opponent, and you should always consider him with the professional respect, even although he might be on the other side of the law. And one thing that we've learned is that they're adapting quickly. They are evolving. They follow the cybersecurity market, so they are fully aware of all those new technologies and new solutions and new products that are being deployed over various enterprises. They adapt their attack scenarios and attack vehicles to those solutions. And I think that one of the greatest examples is what we're seeing in the recent weeks or months, the fact that a supply chain has gained some significant traction due to the fact that it is in some way a kind of a bypass to a lot of security measures if you can implant your software or implant your hardware through the supply chain attacks. So they are always adapting quickly. And when they see that you put multiple door locks and you heavily guard your various entry points in your infrastructure, should it be email or cloud security or endpoint security or EDR or NAC or zero trust, you put multiple door on the locks, and again, being innovative and being smart, they will come through the window. So we need to see where these entry points are and how they are used by those attackers. The second driving force for what I call the ransomware bluff would be the fact that during a recent times and following best practices, a lot of companies now keep a much better backup a setup for their operations, and doing that allows them a more easier and smoother bounce back from the previously popular ransomware encryption type of attack. So once the files were encrypted, all the victim had to do is bounce back to the earliest backup. And if a decade ago backups were something that were not handled in let's say in a very uniform and orderly way. Now everybody understands the value of backup, and should that ransomware event occur, then they will bounce back from the backup. Attackers again understand that because they understand that people stopped paying, and if people stop paying, then there's no use of running those attacks. And then they found that although you can back up your data and bounce back from the data encryption attack, protecting against data leakage is a completely different story. So while you back up, they leak the information, and there's not a lot of things that you can do about that. And but again, it's all about economics. Although criminals, they want to do well, and they have probably deadlines to meet and quota to meet with regards to their criminal activity. So if people are stop paying, they should find an alternative way to generate revenues for the ones who sponsor those criminal activities. And if cash is king, then data leakage is king, because you can't really um, bounce back from a data leakage. Once the data is out, you can't really get it back in, or bounce back from a ransomware encryption type of attacks, because your brand might already been damaged, and the penalty is just around the corner. Your data is being sold over the darknet, and been propagated through multiple sites that offer your data to the highest bidder. So it's much more difficult for enterprises and organizations in general to handle the containment of data leakage. And in that sense, data leakage is the new king of ransomware attacks. And you see that even statistically, looking at all the recent events that occurred, most of them were related to data leakage, uh, trying to resonate with people's ambition to keep their brand intact and to avoid the various fines. And obviously, attackers will hit you where it hurts, and where you pay. So this is a quick snapshot of some of the fines that were put in place. Some of them are in process. Some of them were already been issued. And obviously, the putting aside the brand damage that is done for once such a leak has happened, the regulator or the government in some cases will be fast enough to come in and claim their kind of a fine or remediation for the incident that occurred. And in most cases, these are very high numbers. So in the balance now of either paying a significant fine to the regulator, or um, keeping it on a tighter lid, and paying the ransomware for not leaking the data, as as a considerable a backwind to actually paying the ransomware for and keeping the data secured. And here's the bluff. The bluff is that you don't have to own all the data. You just need the victim to believe that you own it. And this is the main thing, because usually the attack will and probably you've all seen it on various newspapers or articles or uh, TV news bulletin, where you see a snapshot of data that an attacker sent to a certain company, proving that he has access to intimate data within the company, and then he threatens to share zillion terabyte of additional data if they do not pay. And he will leak maybe over a certain period of time, maybe a week, maybe a couple of days. He will leak evidence showing that he has that data. And if the company takes that data and validate it, they will see, yeah, this is genuine data that came out of our infrastructure, whether it's a scan of a passport or an ID or a debit card or something like that, or a snapshot of an Excel sheet that contains privileged data from customers. Now, my main argue here is that again, you don't have to hold a gun in order to rob a bank. This is actually an example from Israel, and a man actually robbed almost $8,000 from two banks while using an avocado. Now, it doesn't matter that he used an avocado. What matters is that the guy he was robbing from thought that it was a grenade. So the bluff works on all aspects. So you could have people thinking that you have a gun or you have a grenade or you have a 100 terabyte of data of your most sensitive information. And if you believe that the attacker has the ability to release the data about all of your customer database and all of your activities and POs and all of your business aspects, then probably you'll be more willing to engage and actually pay. But if you would have known that this is only a bluff and he has only like 2 to 3 screenshots or 1 or 2 files that he was able to obtain, and I will shortly show how, then you might consider it differently and maybe decide not to pay because if he already leaked a very limited amount of data, then that data is out and in some way the damage has already been done, but it's contained to that specific amount of data. So that's the main bluff. So let's see how and take the technical deep dive of how do you actually can do that without going into the full complexity of running a full ransomware campaign. Now think of the following scenario where you have an employee, and probably due to COVID-19 effect, he was laid off, and he's really pissed off by that, and he wants to get his revenge. And the easiest way for him, if he's a bit of a criminal guy, is to obtain some proof of data, open up obviously a false identity, submit the proof of data to the company that he was just working for. He knows that the data is valid. He knows which data is important, and by sending that snapshot, he could actually claim his share of bitcoins, and no one will ever know that the guy that was working until last week on finance is actually the attacker that uh, demanded that ransomware for that data leakage. And in order to achieve that capability without going through the entire cycle of the ransomware infrastructure, starts with the visibility. And as the cliche say, it's all about the visibility. Now, there's a excellent cybersecurity products out there. They're doing magnificent job, but they have one significant limitation. They have visibility from layer 2 and above. That means that everything that happens on the physical layer remains invisible to those solutions. Now, obviously, when you have a visibility gap, then all the attackers will go into that direction. So if you can put in a passive tap or an unmanaged switch hub or an emulating a HID device, then that could easily do the work. And this is what we do in Sepio. We actually cover that physical layer, but in order to show what the actual damage can be done is we need to actually show you that. And the most common tools that you'll be using as kind of a 101 a ransomware bluff course is to get one of the pen testing tools. And obviously, the main difference between a pen testing tool and a hacking criminal tool is just the intent of the users. Now, due to the fact that the tools themselves are publicly available, there's an overwhelming wealth of GitHubs that you can download various payloads and scripts and kind of modified Mimikatz files that won't be picked up, or even tools that were previously the sole property of agencies. And by that, I'll give you one example, which is this guy here, which is a Ninja cable. Obviously, there's various variants for that. There's the OMG cable, the Ninja cable, the Samurai cable, or probably there will be other martial arts cable coming in as well. But this tool is actually takeoff of a tool that was previously owned by the NSA, known as the Cottonmouth. So if you remember the ant catalog that was leaked a while back, then this tool was considered to be an agency grade tool, and now you could actually buy it for something like $50 US, in some cases even less than that. Now, this tool, for example, showing the obtaining of data proof, has a USB interceptor molded into that USB Type A connector here. You can give it as a giveaway or as a gadget cable, or just throw it as similar to that thumb drive in the parking lot. But in this case, we argue that charging cable is like love. You could never have enough of charging cables. And when these, the naive employee will pick up this cable, plug it in, which I will do now. It doesn't do anything. You didn't hear the USB bell going in, because it's actually now working as a legitimate charging cable without any markings or without being flagged out by any cybersecurity products. Now, when the attacker or the internal abuser is within the proximity of this tool, he just needs to click on an app and connect to the cable and run the attack, and I'll let it run, and then I'll explain what we're actually seeing. So I've clicked on button A. Now, what you've actually seen is, and if you're sharp enough, you'll see that actually on the screen, you'll see that there's a kind of an automatic tab, which is actually trying to find its way to the public section comment, but I will stop that before it pastes my information. And what you see here is actually, let's do this, and we'll take this out. So what you've seen here is actually running a WMA command, which actually brings in all the list of services that are being run on my machine. Okay, so it will take that, and it will do a Control C. It will actually cut and paste that information from my machine. Now, obviously, I can do that with various types of information. I can take the actual screenshot of a CRM or a HubSpot screen, and then I could locally store it on the recycle bin folder. And then when the time comes, I can actually go and find a website that allows me to post that information either as a public textual comment or as a posting a certain comment with the attachment of a file. And the information itself will be genuine. It will be extremely difficult for the security product to prevent that, because in a lot of cases that we've seen, actually, I haven't seen even one case that posting comments on YouTube was not allowed within the enterprise, and this will be an excellent exfiltration path for information, for proprietary information out of that facility or enterprise. Now, you could do that with a variety of tools, obviously Raspberry Pis, various implants based on Pi 0 and so on. So there's a lot of data that you can obtain, and all you need to do is to obtain that data by creating a snapshot and by evading the existing security products. And you can do that either by working on the physical layer or spoofing legitimate devices. And the other option will be to use an emulating device. Now, another very cool example of obtaining proof of data without even having to plug anything into the victim's machine is something that I'll share with you, which is a video that we have on our website as well. So let's. This proof of data is actually obtained due to the fact that a lot of enterprises are using known to be vulnerable devices. Now, obviously, keeping up with all those vulnerable devices is a full-time a task by itself. But as you will shortly see, this is a task that should be attended to. And what you will actually see here is a Raspberry Pi, which is mounted over a simple drone. It's less than 250 grams, so you don't need really any special license or permission for that. And it runs a mouse jack and a key jack payload on it, which actually spoofs the communication between the a combo wireless dongle and the device itself. And in this case, we're flying this drone next to the window of our beloved CRO, and it it exploits the vulnerabilities of that combo wireless device. And instead of trying to force my way in using and trying to outsmart all those web content filtering and phishing a countermeasure and so on, I can actually have the tool itself actually launch a browser as if he was a local user by spoofing the communication between the dongle and the wireless combo device. And forensic wise, it would look like there was an employee or someone who did something that he shouldn't have done, but in real life, it could have been a hardware based device. Now, another cool way to obtain proof of data by sniffing out traffic and reconstructing the data. One of the most popular demos that we do is we put an inline implant on the physical layer. We use this device, which is called the Pocket Port 2, which is a legitimate device from a legitimate company, which is an excellent device. And it has a mode called virtual cable mode, which allows it to operate as if it was a passive cable over a cellular connection. And when you put this in line to, let's say, any network a connection that you may have in your enterprise, it will be completely transparent. If you go into the switch and run show MAC address table command, the only MAC address that you will see will be that of the victim's machine. One of the payloads that we love to run is a payload that actually hijacks all the PCL files that are being sent out for print. And then you can leak them out. So every scan that you do on your printer or every device that you print on your or document that you print on your printer could be easily leaked out. And all you have to do is obtain, 5 to 6 or 7 documents like that, and that's it. Then you'll post, all those uh, pictures that we're accustomed to see of someone's passport or someone's ID card or license card proving that you have that data. Well, in real life, you've just hijacked, the PCL file that was sent to that specific printer. And the cool thing about this device that it works flawlessly, even if you have 802.1x, even if you do have an X solution, because this device from the security layer 2 solutions and above does not exist. It doesn't do anything of it by its own. It's a completely passive fire-to-fire connection. And this device, we've seen this by the dozen across the globe, um, in Europe, APAC, US, a very cool device. And as I see dead people, I see physical layer implants. So I do want to give you kind of a brief overview of what we do. So we actually invented the new domain, which is hardware access control, which deals with everything that has to do with hardware access, whether it's a managed device or unmanaged, on all aspects of it, of the visibility, first of all, of visibility to it, the policy enforcement, and the last one, obviously, rogue device mitigation, the capability of detecting those manipulated hardware, manipulated firmware that would be usually introduced either by internal abuser or supply chain attacks. And we have a very cool way of doing that. What we do is we do something called physical layer fingerprinting. That means that we communicate with your existing switching infrastructure or wireless infrastructure as well. And we query those switches for all the physical layer information. We do not look into user traffic. We do not look into log files. So we don't do a protocol discovery or things like that. All the data that interests us is hardware metadata on the file layer, because the only place that you cannot fool the security product is actually on the physical layer, because you can't take time back, you can't change the characteristics of the actual signals that the switch needs to align its PHY against. So in many aspects, the existing switch that you have is reflects the actual device that is connected in line to that end device, and not the layer 2 broadcasted characteristics of that device. And with the combination of a physical layer fingerprinting and a machine learning KNN-based algorithm, we can actually provide the exact information about those tools that we've already fingerprinted, and then we could actually name the attack tool. For those known unknowns, our machine learning algorithm will provide the indication that there's an unknown implant or a spoofing device that is out there, but without saying which vendor it is. And we'll do that for the wireless domain as well. And the cool thing about this is that it doesn't require baseline or training period. So that means that even if the implant or the spoof device was already in place, we will still be able to pick that up regardless of the timing where our solution was deployed. And on the peripheral side, what we do is we go deeper on the physical layer and provide the support for all those HID emulating devices, rubber ducky, bush bunnies, that on the logical domain or on the logical level, they'll present themselves as a legitimate device, while in real life they're something completely different. So this is usually the architecture. It's either a SaaS solution or an on-prem offline solution. Obviously, we integrate with multiple third-party tools. And to summarize my presentation. So first of all, again, thank you for listening to it. The main takeout of that is that despite heavily investing in various ransomware or counter ransomware measures, and trying to keep all the lids closed on all the entry points, you need to remember that the hardware itself and the hardware-based attack tools can easily bypass a lot of those measures. So the same level of risk analysis that is put to spear phishing or phishing or other methods of cyber attacks for obtaining or completing a ransomware campaign should be attributed to hardware devices as well. So again, I thank you very much. I think that we're right on time.
Thank you very much, Bentsi, for this eye-opening presentation. Definitely interesting. I mean, it's clear to me, and I'm sure it's clear to the audience right now, that we are in some way neglecting, the layer 1 in OSI, focusing on, I'm not saying it's bad to focusing on number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but at the end of the day, attackers are gonna use the easiest and the weakest link in order to attack us and to penetrate our organization to access to the crown jewel. So this is a super interesting topic, not normally covered. Again, most of the stuff is above level 3. So thank you for bringing attention to this key topic.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you very much. Everybody keep safe and all the best.
My pleasure, sir. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.